Hi, this is Marta from Ruby Soup with Pearl Juice, and today I am bringing you a tag video. This tag's name is the Supervillain Tag, and I wasn't required by anyone to do this video. I just thought that it would go along with my superhero tag very wonderfully. Before we get started, I should also mention that this tag was originally created by Catalyst Reads. I'm going to link his channel down below. Now the first question is, a villain that makes sense. And for this, I'm going with Eric Killmonger from Black Panther from 2018. Now, this is a villain that has actually really good intentions. He wants to empower vulnerable and marginalized groups around the world, but he has really terrible methods. He chokes the elderly, he kills his girlfriend, which is a bit of a pity because his ideas are actually quite justified and interesting, but he just has the most terrible ways of executing his ideas. So he's a villain that, in my opinion, makes sense, but unfortunately you can't really root for him because of his methods. So the second question is a villain that's just misunderstood. And for this, I'm going with the Gnark from the Finnish children's book series, The Moomins. These books tell stories about little hippopotamus-looking trolls that kind of go off and have all sorts of adventures. And Gnark is the scary figure that is there and frightening everyone. But as the books go on, then the author makes a point of showing that Gnark actually is not bad or malicious in any way. She's actually completely harmless, and the reason why she keeps scaring everybody by accident is because she has no social skills, and also she's so desperately lonely and cold that she comes off as very scary, but she actually does not mean any harm. And the way the books deal with that is very interesting. So the third question is a villain that you like more than the protagonist. Off the bat, I can say that this is very often the case with Disney movies. They've had a little bit of problem with having tofu protagonists, which kind of got a little bit solved during the 90s. But that's neither here nor there. So my answer is Ursula the Sea Witch from Disney's The Little Mermaid. The problem with Ariel in that movie is that I find her to be very bratty and very overly naive, and I kind of feel like that she doesn't really ever grow during the film. While Ursula, on the other hand, she's not a nice person at all, but she's so confident and she's so into herself, and she also has some really funny lines, so you end up liking her even if she is such a manipulative businesswoman in a way, and she does all these horrible things. Even the way she manipulates people is just so intriguing that she's just so memorable, and I just love her. She's my problematic fave. The fourth question is a villain that you want to succeed, and for this I'm going with Cao, also known as Monger, from the 1990s TV adaptation of Romance of the Three Kingdoms. This is a historical drama about a civil war that took place in China way, way, way back. And Cao is supposed to be the evil part of the civil war. However, while he does do some really horrible things during the war, he also has a lot of ideas and policies in his way of governing that I personally think would just be better for everyone. And he also does a lot of things that just resonate very well for today's audiences. He doesn't put himself above the law, and very often he is merciful towards his soldiers and his lieutenants, and even when he ends up having to execute some people, then he provides for the families. And these things just resonate very well for a modern audience, or at least for me. And the fifth question is your favorite female villains. I could actually do a whole video on my favorite female villains. You guys could comment down below if you would be interested in that. So I'm just going to stick with one. And my pick is Loki from all adaptations of the Kalevala, which is the Finnish epic written by Elias Lönnrot. I have done a blog post about the Kalevala. I'm going to link that down below if you want to know more about that. But essentially, Loki is the evil witch of the epoch. She's such a boss. She just demands authority and is like really unashamed of who she is. Her relationship to her daughter is also really fun because one of the major things where she's the villain is that all the heroes of the story basically want to marry her daughter, and she's not all that into this plan. So she makes them do all sorts of ridiculous tasks and tries to kind of kill them off so that they won't marry her daughter. And while this is most certainly extreme, then this is just perhaps a more over-the-top reaction that most parents would have when some people show up and want to marry their kids. So she's also like really relatable on that plane of that she just wants the best for her loved ones. And of course she happens to be evil, so how she goes about it is like a villain that you wish you could erase from literature and history. Now, I'm not going to go with any real life villains because there would be too many. And I tend to like not mind villains in literature. However, there is one villain that I wish that I wouldn't erase, but I would rewrite him. And that is Kylo Ren from the new Star Wars movies. I know he's really beloved by a lot of people, but I just think he's so whiny and unsympathetic. Even in The Last Jedi, where they try to give him a tragic backstory, I thought it just fell flat, and he's just comes off as someone who pities himself, and he does a lot of really cruel things. I do like the movies otherwise, but that part I would rewrite if I could. And then the next question is, who or what has been the greatest villain in your life? And I am skipping this because some things are a little bit too painful to talk about. The next question is, what villain would you like to know more about or have a whole movie about? And for this question, I'm going with Set from the ancient Egyptian mythology. Set was the evil brother who killed Osiris and caused a lot of problems in the mythology. But I actually think that there's a lot of things about him that are very interesting. Like, he does seem to have a close relationship with Isis, one of the other gods in this mythology. And he was the father of Anubis, who took care of the dead. And it would be interesting to get a little bit more of a in-depth about his relationship to these characters and what that relationship really was. The mythologies vary a lot on why he even kills Osiris, so it would be interesting to explore that. And ancient Egyptian mythology doesn't get that many retellings, but I think they're as interesting as the Greek mythology. And then the last question is, which of your favorite book to villains do you tag? I don't really think that anyone really is a villain per se, but I will say this, that if you have watched this video and you would like to do it yourself, then consider yourself tagged. So that was all for today. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye!